how do you make money?
We make money from subscription. They are really very funny people. You just pay us. Whatever happens afterwards, you
Time we start doing 1 million, 2 million, your 57 million is peanuts.
You don't really care what happens after you've taken your money. Therefore, I'm out.
This 419, I find that very
Seriously,
offensive.
no pun intended. If you are not watching The Lion's Den, Nigeria, at this point, you're on a long. I mean, every single time I sit down and watch The Lion's Den, I kind of feel very proud that this show is actually coming into our space, giving entrepreneurs an opportunity to actually, fulfill their dreams. I don't know, but I don't know why I don't know if I'm the only one who's seen this Lion's Den as a very amazing reality show, business reality show. I just wish more people can actually take their time to watch this reality show. I mean, if you are an entrepreneur out there, you're looking for investors in Africa, in Nigeria, you have a business, a startup that needs money, that needs funds to get growing, guys, can you please do us a favor and stay glued to this channel? Because in here I keep you updated with what's happening with this business reality show. Whether you miss it or you watch it, I kind of just want to motivate you, to inspire you, to give you the right information that you need to literally understand what it means to run a business and have investors come into your business and grow together with you. Guys, I don't know, but I'm so elated. I feel so inspired. I mean, this particular episode of The Lion's Den inspired me in a whole new different level. I'm not even gonna lie about that. I'm talking about the season 2 episode 4. Guys, it was lit. 3 entrepreneurs came into the den. It was a lot of drama, and some deals went down, some deals didn't go down, and I'm going to be sharing my own perspective. I'm going to be telling you all about that in due time. You guys know I always try to keep you updated with all this, and I come with the full story like I always tell you. So if you're new to the channel, thank you for stopping by. In here we talk about reality shows and real-time stories. If you like things like this, please right now click on the red subscribe button and don't miss a thing. Turn on the post notification bell. Guys, let's get into this gist already before it gets really cold. So 3 entrepreneurs came into the den, but guys, and there was actually something very spectacular about this particular episode, because there was a lot of highlights that was thrown on Bolaji Balogun, and I think I really appreciate the fact that people who probably are just hopping into the space of watching this reality show actually understand some of these lines a bit more. Guys, I actually have a video about some of these lines. You probably want to check out that video, but let me just give you the gist, the way it happened in the den, and then I'll get back to telling you what I think about this whole thing. So guys, before I continue with this conversation, I really literally have to remind you to subscribe if you haven't already. And guys, if you are a regular viewer of The Lion's Den, please, I'm begging you, my knees are on the floor, come into this conversation, because there are so many things to learn from this particular episode. I don't know, but right now I think this is going to be one of the best episodes that we actually probably might get to see in The Lion's Den. So 3 businesses came into the den to pitch, and one business got lucky. I'm going to be telling you why some of those businesses were not lucky enough, even though they had very amazing business. Now, the first business that came to pitch was Jabba app. The Jabba app actually meant Jabba, J-A-B-A, meant just a business app, and the mobile app was just connecting services to people who needed it, and they were asking for 57 million, right? The young man was asking for 57 million for 20% equity. Now, seriously, before I continue with this conversation, I think one of the things that makes you probably get a deal in the den is, right, your confidence, no doubt. But when you come into the den without doing your homework, you're about to get disappointed with the result you're going to be getting. I feel like one of the reasons why this particular business didn't really do very well like it should have is probably because of overconfidence. I felt like this particular entrepreneur was too rude and too crude. Let me just say too crude, not rude now. I think he didn't really understand what it meant to have a modest language. I mean, guys, your diction matters when you're presenting to people. Your choice of words matters a lot when you're pitching to people who want to invest in your business. And pitching a business like you're doing a favor to any investor is actually rude, if you ask me. So Java app, they were asking for 57 million, and guys, I have my notes as usual. I'm going to be looking at it for the highlights, the key highlights of the things that went down. And so for the app, they said it was connecting people to service providers. And according to the questions that were asked, the company was valued at 286 million. The app already had 912 users currently using it. And I saw like 3 red flags in this presentation. Guys, it pays for you to have a business advisor in your business, for you to have like a professional come into your business to tell you, give you ideas, strategies on how to move forward, to present your pitch, to monetize, to find the hidden revenue. Like, there's so many revenue blueprints people don't even understand they can have in their business. So I feel like one of the reasons why this particular business didn't get an investment was because he had not done his homework. So the concept of having an app is to make money from that app. Whether people are using it or people, like when people use your app, you should make money. When people subscribe, like there's something called multiple streams of income in a particular business. And I felt like, well, let me just give you the gist and then I'll continue what I have to say. So this young man was asking for 57 million, and a lot of questions was asked. I think the first person who asked the first question was Kiari. One of the things I said is this particular entrepreneur was too crude. Now, he ended that pitch with saying that investing 57 million was a chicken change. Made it sound like it was a chicken change. If 57 million is chicken change, then you must be a millionaire. You shouldn't be looking for an investor in your business. It's actually very important to choose your choice of words, because some of those lions found a lot of things this young man said very offensive. One of them was, he said, how do you make money? So the red flag was saying 57 million is a steal. Yes, I know that would have sounded really nice if it was put very well, but I think the entrepreneur who pitched was too crude, and so for me it sounded very offensive. If you watched it, let me know your thoughts in the comment section. So Bolaji was like, how do you guys make money from this app? And they said, you know what, we charge 1,000 naira per use with every month. So with the calculation of 912 users, they're supposed to be making an estimate of 912,000 every single month. But unfortunately, they had not made any money before coming into the time, because the app launched in January, and you guys were doing this review like in April, last day of April, May. And so, you know, of course, I'm guessing the show actually kicked off maybe February, March. So maybe February. So I think it was like a month, you know, that they had launched, that he had come to the den to pitch for his business. So basically, he had not made any money. He said that the 912 users in the app were actually on a free trial, 30 days trial, and after 30 days trial, they start getting get paid 1,000 naira per month. So according to his evaluation, you guys, if you don't know these things, I have a video. I have multiple videos in this channel that I've actually, if you want to go to the Lions, if you want to know how investors think, if you're thinking of coming to a reality show like the Lions Den, you probably want to check out some of the popular questions that this Lions gets asked, so you don't get like like they don't pull the rug or throw you under the bus. So the guy was like, so Java app, just a business app makes a lot of sense. I think I like the name of that app. It made a lot of sense. So Bolaji was like, how do you guys make money? They said 1,000 naira per subscriber. So you don't make money from people using the app. And I felt like these guys were leaving money on the table for even saying no. And one thing I noticed about this entrepreneur was that he was so centered on his thought about his business that he wasn't looking at the other avenues that his business. So because he was being myopic, thinking about, he said he didn't like that model. Yes, it's okay not to like a model, but what if that model that you actually adopt is going to affect your revenue in the business? It's actually a minus, if you ask me. So Bolaji asked, how do you make money? He said 1,000 naira every month. And you know, at the end of the day, he said, you don't even care whether they use the app or they don't use the app. All you want to do is take a 1,000. He said yes. And the truth is that these investors are very smart. They will put words in your mouth. If you are not smart, under the bus is where you find yourself. So the first red flag for me was saying that the business was a steal. The second red flag was you don't care, that he doesn't care what happens and whether these guys actually get value for their money or not. In fact, that was one of the reasons why after Kiari left, Mrs. Adenike left the business. Was like, okay, since you don't care about your customer, this is a wrong this is a wrong standard for any business, and she opted out. You know, a lot of questions came back and forth. At the end of the day, Paul was like, we don't really like it. And then when they were asking me a question, he said something very offensive. He said, that's why I like Bolaji. Guys, you're in front of a lion. You're in front of the lions, 5 investors, and you're picking one as your favorite. You don't even know if that one is going to want to come into your business. I mean, you should be a potential to all of them. So I felt like he just shot himself on the leg saying that, okay, my favorite lion is Bolaji indirectly. Because Paul, that was one of the reasons Paul used to excuse himself from the deal. Was like, okay, since you like Bolaji, let Bolaji handle the rest and let us be. So, I mean, at the end of the day, Bolaji came up with the excuse of, this is a competitive niche, I'm not interested to invest in it. And guys, that was how Jabba, just a business app, ended up not getting their 57 million naira. And high evaluations, a lot of things. They were not making money, they had not made money. If you have not made money in your business must be a killer business for those lions to actually grab it. So unfortunately, the first entrepreneur didn't get any investment whatsoever. We had the second person who came in, and guys, his business was quite impressive. So this young man actually had a poultry business, and his poultry business already had hectares of land. He was already supplying to restaurants. I mean, and he was asking for a whooping 550 million naira, guys. This is the second highest amount we've ever had in the Lions Den. The first person who ever mentioned 500 million naira was actually Polygar, the guy that was doing the mineral mining thing. I mean, we hope he comes back to the show and gets a deal from the Lions. 550 million! I was like, that money is too much. But considering that the pitch was, we've actually done a lot of investments and we have more assets, so we need running capital. So the pitch was quite interesting because Ahmed Ali said that in 2012 they started their business with 5,000 layer birds, and then in 2015 they had about 15,000, and they were doing very well. And then within 4 years they had made about 1.2 billion naira turnover revenues, and I'm like, okay, this is huge. Now, looking at the business at first, it sounded really amazing, super amazing. And then the questions came. Audrey was like, tell me what your numbers are. Guys, your numbers is one question the Lions will not fail to ask you. And you know, when Audrey asked that question, you know, he said 2019 they made 400 million. In 2020 they made 280 million. In 2021 they made 350 million. And then it was like, what are your margins? So he said for the eggs he had 25%, and then he had to do some explanation because he said they were not growing the birds themselves, they were doing an outgrowers process, and they were selling other people's you know, birds. And so basically the explanation was quite interesting. Mrs. Adenike chipped in, and one of the questions Mrs. Adenike asked was, you know, they actually mentioned that the one of the problems they had in the business was just that the business had acquired assets, which is land, you know, but they needed running capital. Now Mrs. Adenike came and then she asked some questions, and the questions was like, what are your assets, what are your running capitals, and one big interesting question Mr. Adenike asked was, what do you want to do with the money? So he needed to break down what he wanted to do with the money, and that was where the big hits came, you know. And then he said, you know what, that they already had debts of over 250 million. Guys, did you hear that? 250 million in debts. And you know, the other things, it was really understandable. I mean, anybody who runs a poultry business knows that that business takes a long time to make real turnover. And you know, Kiari chipped in, is a commercial debt, what's the range? And he said it was about 30% to 25%. And you know, so he said that the breakdown was that they wanted to use 150 million to settle their debts, that they wanted to stop collecting loans and rather give equity from their business. That was why they came to the den. And you know, that was where Bolajina had to come in. You know, Bolaji was like, so can you really explain it? You said in 2019 you had 400 million and you made profit of how much? You said 80 million. 2020, how much did you make? You made 280 million. What was your profit? He said it was at he made a loss. I mean, guys, in 2019 he made a loss of 80 million. In 2020 he made a loss of 12 million. In 2021, 350 million, he made a profit of 18 million. And guys, at the end of the day, you know, the business looked very, very, very sketchy. So I think Mrs. Audrey kept nodding her head, like the way she was shaking her head, it was like a big tell that there was something wrong with the numbers. I mean, because when I heard 550 million, I was like, okay, this business should be solid for the Lions to want to invest. I mean, they are bringing in hard raw cash and they want to be sure that they're not coming to get burnt in the business. So at the end of the day, Audrey combined the turnover and said, okay, you know what, in 4 years you guys have made 1.2 billion naira, but unfortunately your numbers are very low. How can you make 0.01 net profit in 4 years? That is not a business that any investor will want to invest in. And you know, at the end of the day, Bolaji opted out. All of the Lions opted out, and there was clearly no business. I mean, and at the end of that, they actually had to say something about Mr. Sunday. You know, you guys, this is not the first time a poultry business is coming into the den. We've actually had a very hilarious episode that a poultry business was actually brought, and then it was quite hilarious. And guys, I mean, I unfortunately forgot to tell you that, you know, after Jabba came in, there was actually a mini intro on who Bolaji Balogun is. And you know, I think that I probably would give you that gist, you know, probably like give you a biography of who all those Lions are. Again, I've done that in my previous video where we had Mr. Dan there, but because we have new people, probably I just get to do that for you guys. So at the end of the day, 550 million deal was not sealed. Hamed unfortunately lost out from that deal because he was not making any kind of profit. I mean, 0.01 net profit is a big bad business if you ask me. Now, the third entrepreneur who came into the den was actually a very smart business. This is somebody who said, you know, the problem that we're facing in Nigeria, in Africa, globally. I think he was very particular about Nigeria. Is a 419 fraud thing, and you know, some of the Lions had a problem with the 419 word he had used. But anyways, let me just give you the gist on how it went out. So the third person we had that came into the den is called James, and James was pitching his business called the Gig app. So the Gig app is actually a micro job app and an extra job platform where you so instead of you just paying an online vendor, somebody that you don't know out of the blues, it's like a verified platform where the vendors come and register. You know, you pay for the services. When they know that you have received value, they send the money to you. So it's like an intermediary platform where they try to make sure they handle, you know, online transactions to avoid fraudulent activities. I mean, one of the mind-blowing questions that was asked during this young man's pitch was, who are your competitors? I mean, Paul was the person that asked that question, and he said none in Nigeria. And God, at that point, somebody like Mr. Paul made the statement. Guys, I mean, the truth is that there are new niches. I mean, I know there are thousands of businesses out there. I know there are a lot of niches out there, but the truth is there are new niches, and new niches are rich niches, if you ask me. So at the end of the day, Paul was like, you know what, I have a friend who has actually bought something online, a car online, never got the car, and that was fraud. I think I want to invest in it. I can't pin my eyes on it, but you know, before Paul actually talked about his pitch and offer, Audrey was the first person who opted out of the deal. And for some reason, I think I'm beginning to not feel comfortable with the way Mrs. Audrey kind of talks first. I feel like she was one of those Lions who came in last. This is just me sharing my thoughts. You guys know constructive criticism is one of the things I do in this channel. So I don't know, but for some reason I think the ladies, the women in the Lions Den find it very difficult to become independent investors, and I think that kind of sucks. I think we would want to see more of the female entrepreneurs, female Lions, like look at the business and not look at the business because they are trying to see a perfect business, but they are seeing a challenge, a gap in any of the business, and they are wanting to come in to help, not because they are seeing the value of the business from the male lions that are in the den. I don't know, but I've noticed this from episode 1. I mean, then we used to have only Mrs. Adenike, and I noticed that it was very difficult to ever see Mrs. Adenike like stand alone and say, you know what, I want to invest in this business alone without tagging in maybe into Kiari's offer or tagging in with Bolaji. You know, I've never seen that from her, and I really wish that in this episode and upcoming episodes that we'll get to see these female lions like look at businesses and say, you know what, I want to give you an offer and not wait for the other male lions to pitch. I feel like Mrs. Audrey is actually always like being too like let's look at one of the biggest investors in the den. I mean, Bolaji Balogun. He's literally mostly the last person to talk because he wants to see what other people are saying. So I feel like Mrs. Audrey should just be a bit laid back. Like, I don't know, but maybe I feel like because she's the first person that is placed on that seat there doesn't mean she has to be the first person to say, you know what, I'm getting out of the business. I feel like she does that too abruptly, and it kind of is quite discouraging if you ask me. I don't know, but I just felt like I needed to say that. So in this business, Paul has been bringing the game on, and I think I love Paul Wanibe for always being that lion who wants to stand out, who wants to have a deal by himself. This is just like a standalone lion that I really love. He always brings in offers, counter offers, and makes the whole thing interesting. So Paul was the first person who gave him and guys, I forgot to mention how much he was asking for. So James Mwabweze, who was pitching the gig app, he was asking for 20 million for a 10% equity share. Now at the end of the day, Paul made an offer. Paul was like, you know what, I'm going to give you all the money you want, 20 million, but you know what, I want 50% of the business. And you know, afterwards Kiari was like, you know what, I want to come into the business. And then the most interesting thing that actually brought Kiari over was when he asked the young man, how do you make money? And he said, you know what, we make money not just because of 1,000. Like, you guys, the first person who pitched an app didn't get an app because he was doing it in a way that didn't really make sense, if you ask me. I mean, this guy literally had a standard. He had done his research. He knew what the corporate standard was, and he was literally working with it. I'm not saying that we can't run our businesses bringing in our new standard, but I think there should be like some global standard that when people look at it, they can say, okay, this is like a professional standard that you're working with. So according to this young man, Fiverr and other platforms, micro platforms like that, charge like 10% both to both parties, both the receiving and the sender. So it's the same thing with the gig app, 10% from the vendor, 10% from whoever is buying. And it was quite interesting. I mean, Kiari was like, get away, how is that possible? Like, the profit margin looked really impressive. I mean, this was one guy that did not ask, how much have you made in so yet. I mean, his offer was so sweet that the lions were ready to jump in on it because it was like it was literally a very pleasing, hot idea. Now, at the end of the day, Kiari came in with a counter offer. Paul had offered 20 million, all the money, 50%. Kiari made an offer. Kiari was offering 20 million, but Kiari said, you know what, I want 60% of the business. And this is where I'm going to really laugh. I mean, these lions are always going to be lions. They want the lion share. None of them want a small share from any business. And it was quite interesting. But Kiari's offer, okay, Paul's offer was 50%. When I get my money back, when you pay me back my money, I'll drop back to 25%. Kiari was like, you know what, I want 60% coming, and then when you pay me all my money, I'll get dropped down to 10%. And Kiari's reason was he didn't believe in the business. He feels like his business doesn't have much value now at this stage, maybe later. And you know, when Kiari made that offer, Mr. Denike jumped on the offer because Kiari had actually placed an option for, I want another lion to get in. I mean, Kiari is always used to that, saying I want to do a dual investment or a triple investment. I want another lion in the team. That's one of his contingent plans or procedures or standards, you know, when he's actually pitching some of the entrepreneurs who come into the den. So, you know, at the end of the day, he said 60%, 10%, and then the young man had to chip in. He was like, you know what, we already have a VC and 65,000 pounds, they have 15% of the business already, so you can't even get 60%. So at that point, you know, Kiari actually had to drop his to, he was like, okay, since you have 85% of the business, we're going to share it. It's going to be 42.5%, that Kiari is going to be getting the business at 42.5%, and then when the business he pays back the money, he'll drop down to 10%, because you guys remember 10% is what this young man is asking for the equity share. Now Bolaji would always be Bolaji. He comes in with the savvy sources and counter offers. Bolaji was like, you know what, I think you need more money. I'm going to give you 25 million, but I actually want 25% of the business. I don't want you to pay me back. I want the equity to be there for life, forever, because I see this as a very lucrative business. And at the end of the day, this young man had to go and think it through to see which he was going to be picking. Guys, if you ask me, at the end of the day, this young man was smart enough to come in with a very interesting counter offer, and his counter offer was that he'll be willing to drop, that he would beg, his counter offer is that the Lions should drop down to 5% after he pays back the money. And you know, that was where Paul was like, no, I can't even do that. Bolaji was like, I can't even do that. And Kiari, being the smart investor that he is, was like, you know what, I'm ready to drop 8%, you know, if I get my money back. And guys, that was like a beautiful deal. So it simply means that 8% between Bolaji and Mrs. Adenike for 4% each, and that they're investing 20 million in full. You know, I don't know, but I really appreciate this young man for being very smart and looking at what his business, like, he knew he was willing to see that equity share as a big deal. And I don't know, but that was the best counter offer I've ever heard in the Lions Den ever since they've had that show, apart from the Cooping guy who actually came in and actually stayed, I think, at 8% too. So guys, I don't know, it was just a very amazing offer. At the end of the day, we actually had just one entrepreneur go home with the money, and he went home with 20 million naira, and it was an amazing wrap. Guys, literally this was everything that went down in the den. So we actually had 3 entrepreneurs who came into the den this time instead of 4. The other times was used to explain, give a little profile about Mr. Bolaji. I think that was quite epic. I'm probably going to share a special video, you know, telling you guys more about all of the Lions. Guys, I don't know, but this episode was actually legit very fun. It made a lot of sense. I don't know, but if you're following the Lions, then let me know in the comment section. What do you guys think? Do you guys really think? I don't know, but for this guy that really wanted the 550 million, I was like, I wish Mr. Dan was available. Mr. Dan is one of those risky investors. I mean, we saw him in season 1 investing over 60 million or 65 million in a business that was in debt too, like this. So anyways, this is actually the wrap of everything that went down. So this is everything that actually went down in the Lions Den episode 4. Guys, I'm going to catch you up in another video. For now, thank you so much for your watch time.